Hello there, I'm Big Jim with Big Jim's Bow Company, and we're here today to talk a little bit about fletching selection. A lot of this is a personal thing. I don't get hung up on too much of some of the choices and the ideas that people have about fletching. So typically you'll find fletching and you can get it smaller than 3 inches, but from 3 inches on up to 5.5 inches. And then you've got parabolic and shield, and you also have left wing and right wing. So there's lots of different choices, not to mention how you're going to orient it on the shaft. I personally haven't seen a whole lot of difference between the 5s and the 4s. I shoot them almost interchangeably. When I shoot 4s, I use three fletchings of 4 fletch. If I shoot 5s, I use 3 fletchings of 5 fletch. Some of the minor differences, as they say, and I like shield cut because they look better. Now, are parabolic beneficial in any way? Supposedly they're a little bit quieter. I wouldn't argue that they weren't. Shield has been working quite well for me for all the years I've been doing this, and again, I like the way they look. Some of this is about looking the part, and this looks certainly more traditional. But if you don't care, pick and choose what you like. I shoot a 5-inch most of the time. Sometimes I shoot a 4-inch. 5-inch steers a little bit better than 4-inch, but 5-inch can also catch the wind a little bit better. So if you're in an area that's got lots of high winds, that might be something to consider. They talk about speed of a 5-inch versus a 4-inch. To me, that's ridiculous. What little bit of difference that would make, if that has an effect on your accuracy, then you've got some real issues. And then there's guys that like to shoot 3 inches. I'm not into that. To me, that's a target thing only. And again, I could not see the possible benefit. Less wind issues from side to side. And if you're shooting targets, you certainly aren't worried about noise issues. And I know a lot of guys that shoot 4-inch and they'll go with 4 fletch. I don't know what they're gaining out of that. Works for them, great. I'm not here to tell you that what you're doing is right or wrong, more so that it doesn't really make it that big of a difference. Now, the other question is left wing versus right wing. Forever, it was believed that a left wing arrow for a right-handed shooter was the best choice because it curves away from the bow as it's shot. But they estimate, or maybe they know exactly, that in 20 yards, an arrow is only going to rotate about twice on a heavily helical fletched arrow. So it's not going to rotate much, if at all, by the time it passes a shelf. It doesn't matter if you're shooting left wing or right wing if your arrows are well tuned. If your arrows are not well tuned, well, then you may have an issue, and one of them is going to fly a little bit better than the other for you. I maintain it's easier to get your arrow tuned than it is to determine which one's going to fly better for you. You pretty much have to have a left wing jig to fletch left wing and a right wing jig to fletch right wing. So that's not interchangeable. If you're having issues with the feathers clearing your hand, there's lots of things you could do about that. Make sure the quills are glued down tight. Move your knock point up a hair. If that is still, or put a second knock point on the string, one below there. If it is still causing issues hitting your hand, maybe you want to switch to left wing as a right-handed shooter, opposite for a left-handed shooter, and that might alleviate the issues a little bit there. But I maintain that something's not quite right in the rest of your setup if your arrow's hitting your hand. And again, just a little bit of knock height bumped up will alleviate that for most people. On your knock set, it would be better to have it a little bit high than any bit low. Other than that, I strongly recommend that you pick colors that you can see well. And I assume everybody sees certain colors better than others. I know that I see white and pink being the best, extremely well. White being second best to me. I can still see orange, and yellow I can't see too well out in the woods in low light conditions. Some may not have that issue. They say red is one of the first colors that disappears as the light dims. I don't know how they figure that, but it makes good sense to me. It's fairly dark. But if you could see your arrows flying in the air, you'll be less likely to miss your targets. Your mind memorizes the arc better, and you can get that, it'll get that tuned in for you a little bit better, but you have to be able to see it. Just imagine playing baseball, throwing a ball to somebody with an invisible ball. You'd have no idea if you were throwing hard enough or throwing too soft or too fast, because you couldn't see the arc of the ball. So anyway, when it comes to feathers, I would pick what makes you happy. Try some out. If you find out that that's not quite right for you, you could try something different. It's not that expensive to change them out if you could fletch them yourself. So thanks for tuning in. You can check us out on all the typical social media platforms or at bigjimsbowcompany.com.